Welcome to Season 3 of the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. I'm Melyssa with a Y, double board certified lifestyle medicine coach, size-inclusive fitness specialist, author, and speaker dedicated to helping changemakers like you drop the struggle and create a healthy lifestyle you can love. This season, we're diving even deeper into conversations with guests from all arenas of the health and wellness industry, focused on making healthy living feel easy, enjoyable, and sustainable. Through my book, coaching community, online fitness studio, and corporate wellness packages, I'm here to provide the tools, strategies, and support you need to feel your best. Because when you show up as your healthiest self, you're unstoppable. All right, y'all, let's get to it. All right, change makers, here we are for season 3 of the Healthy Living Doesn't Have to Suck podcast. And I cannot wait to share our first guest of this season with you. Her name is DeLeon, and I can't wait for her to tell you all of the amazing things that she is doing in the fitness industry to really shake things up. And y'all are going to be able to tell her and I have never met before recording this episode, and already we're vibing. So I'm so excited to welcome you to the podcast, Tara. Do you mind sharing a little bit more about yourself with our audience today?
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. Can I just say I love the name of this podcast?
Thank you.
Like, healthy living just shouldn't suck,
I know,
right?
right?
Like, this is the goal.
Mhm.
And like, why would we have a goal that does suck?
Exactly.
know?
Exactly. That's not going to motivate us at all to work towards it. So
Right.
yeah, we
Oh
got to make it
no, this
fun.
thing sounds awful. I guess I'll do it. Like, no, don't put me down for that.
Right. Same. So yeah, for our listeners who are getting the chance to meet you for the first time, tell us a little bit about your story.
Okay, so I'm a personal trainer, and the controversial thing about me is that I'm weight neutral
Mhm.
and I'm plus size. When I started my career as a personal trainer, I was like plus size-ish, but not really, right?
Mhm.
And now, of course, 21 years later, like I'm full on plus size. And the fitness industry in general cannot handle this.
Yep.
It is very controversial for me to exist in this career, in this body. But even though I never set out to be like this poster child for like healthy living and, you know, using your brain rather than your body, like I never set out to be controversial, but I'm kind of glad that I'm here because I've done a lot of work on like fat shaming and body image,
Yeah.
and like I'm good.
Mhm.
I'll give you an example. I recently won this award from the NSCA, so the National Strength and Conditioning Association, which is like a worldwide association, like the world leader in strength and conditioning personal training, has named me the personal trainer of the year this year,
Hell yeah,
which
they did.
is super exciting.
So awesome.
And I never thought that
Congratulations.
it would be like mixed emotions, right?
Mm.
Because they posted on their Instagram like Tara DeLeon, personal trainer of the year, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then I read the comments.
Oh, Lord.
Guys, never read the comments.
Oh,
Protect
man.
your own mental health and don't read the comments, because out of like the hundreds of comments that were there was like, 20 or 30 people that I know professionally that were like, yay, Tara, well deserved.
Right.
And then there was everybody else that was like, oh, this is absurd. NSCA is woke. There should never be a fat personal trainer. Like,
Hmm.
she can't even help herself, like horrible things. And that's like putting it really mildly.
Yeah.
You know, so for me, I see that and I go, I hope these people's clients don't see these comments,
Yep.
because I probably look like a lot of trainers' clients, right?
Mhm.
Um, and I just want to say, like, your body is the least important thing about you. It's the least interesting thing about you.
Yes.
Um, like there's so much more to us as humans than what we look like. So for me, like reading that, of course, was kind of a gut punch, but like I've lived in this body forever and I've worked in this industry a long time and I know that I'm awesome. So I
Hell
really
yeah.
didn't let it like get me down too much, but I can only imagine that like somebody new who maybe hasn't been in the industry as long, who isn't as confident with their skills,
Mhm.
reading this, they might have had this whole like self-doubt thing come up, which as trainers is the opposite of what we're supposed to do, right?
Exactly.
we're like encouraging, supportive, educating, right? We're not
Supposed to
like
be.
tearing each other down. But
Oh,
so that's kind of like what I do. I'm also a professor. I like teach people how to be personal trainers. I just wrote a book for new moms and I'm a podcast host myself. So I'm into like all things health and fitness.
I love that so much. And truly, like, I was on the verge of tears when I saw your announcement about being named the best personal trainer, because for me, that was a big thing holding myself back because I had heard so many people in the industry saying your body is your business card when you're a personal trainer. So for the longest
Mhm.
time, I didn't think I could be a personal trainer. And luckily, I had some great mentors in the space that were like, yeah, you have the skills, you have the knowledge, like just go for it. But it really was that feeling of, am I going to be judged, and are clients going to want to work with me if I'm living in a slightly bigger size body? Like, it's
Yeah,
just all having to undo all of those toxic messages that we've been bombarded with in this industry for so long. So I think that
yeah,
is just such an incredible win for you to step into this power and say yes. Like, it's not about your body, it's about your knowledge, how you inspire and motivate people, and so much more. So thank you for being such a change maker within the fitness industry.
oh, thank you. It's funny because I'm not immune to that either.
Mhm.
I was a personal trainer for a long time, and then I decided I wanted to work with athletes, and I kind of stepped into the collegiate strength and conditioning world, and I worked with D1 athletes for like 10 years. And it was super cool. Don't get me wrong. I loved what I
Yeah.
did, but the hours were horrible. The pay was horrible. And when I
Yeah.
decided like, hey, I'm kind of like getting old, I need to like start my family or not have one.
Right.
That's kind of when I was like, maybe I'll go back to my roots as a trainer. Like, you make your own schedule, the money's great, like
Mhm.
it's close to home. I'm not commuting 2.5 hours a day, you
Yeah.
know, but I was seriously concerned, even being much smaller than I am now. I
Mhm.
was definitely like, oh my gosh, what if I take this job in a gym and nobody wants to train with me because I'm in a larger body?
Right.
And the first like month or two that I was there, I was like, oh my gosh, every day that goes by and I don't get a client, like feels really panicky. Like, what if
Right.
I'm gonna fail at this, even though I'm really smart at this? And then like people just came in droves, like, oh, you are so relatable and I
Yep.
like that you look like you eat food.
Yes, and that you can enjoy food.
Yeah.
We're not
Like,
sitting over here just snacking on kale.
right. Get your Tupperware of chicken and broccoli away from me.
Oh my gosh. Well, I just love that you're sharing this part of your story too, because I know I've gotten on my pedestal before about how people just rely so much on trying to look a certain way, thinking that
Yeah.
it means they're going to be healthy. And I'm like, yo, there are some really unhealthy thin people out there. Like,
Yes.
just because they can eat whatever they want and not gain a pound of muscle doesn't make them healthier than someone who's in a bigger body, who's exercising regularly and who's eating their vegetables. Like, it's just
Yeah.
that bias in our society that really trying to push past that. But it takes a lot to help people learn how to break up with those measures like the scale and BMI
Mhm.
to truly step into a way that they can measure their progress in a lifestyle change journey that's not going to rely on those numbers.
Yeah, it's so hard too because the diet culture messaging is like so
Ugh.
loud and it's
Yeah.
so incessant. And like, so I'm a mom of a 4-year-old now. And even like at his daycare, I'll like hear other kids, like if I stop by for lunch or something, be like, oh, fruit snacks aren't healthy. And I'm like, I mean, valid, right? I'm not going to
Sure.
sit here and call them a health food, but like, why are toddlers like talking about that?
Yeah. Probably
You
because they
know?
overheard their parents say something about it. Like, oh, I can't have
100%.
those because there's sugar in it. Or like,
Yes, yes. We've like vilified
oh,
everything,
I know.
and I want to point out too, my story about winning the personal trainer of the year, the weight was just the easy thing to pick. But if I had been really, really super skinny, people would have commented on that too. If
Right.
I would have had like a controversial haircut, people would have commented on that too. If
Hmm.
my clothes were different or inappropriate, like people love to be haters. So
Yeah.
the weight was kind of like the low hanging fruit, the elephant in the room type
Hmm.
thing, but it would have been for any other reason too.
Right.
You
Yeah. Because
know,
some people are just miserable and they want to try to make other people miserable.
yeah, haters gonna hate.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, shake it off, just like Taylor Swift says.
That's right.
Awesome. Well, as we're kind of looking at, this conversation around healthy living, what is something that you would love to educate our audience on? Like something that you want them to walk away from this episode, maybe having reinforced a previous message that they've heard, or just given them some new content altogether to consider.
Yeah. So people always ask me, like, how much should they be working out?
Mm.
Right? Like, what's the minimum? What's the maximum? What should I be doing? And I always feel like, first of all, stop shooting all over yourself. Like,
Say
we do
that
what we
all
can
the
do.
time.
Right. Like we do what we can do, you know. So my son is 4 and I worked out my entire pregnancy and then my body didn't feel good enough to go back to weightlifting, which is my passion,
Mm.
until I was like 9 months postpartum.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like tuning into your body and listening and honoring what it needs is
Hmm.
a little bit controversial because we like should on ourselves all the time with like, oh, I should be back at the gym already. I should be doing this. So I think like listening to your body's cues and letting your body go through seasons, like
Yep.
I know it sounds really hippie to be like, well, humans are seasonal. Like that's totally a weird thing to say. I know it is.
But
But
it's
like
true.
if we think about it though, like in the summer, like we're eating a lot more like fresh fruits and veggies. We're outside more. We're getting more like vitamin D. We're
Hmm.
like probably exercising more. We're walking, we're playing in the swimming pool, we're going on vacations and hikes and trips and stuff and we're just doing like physically active things. But come winter, I'm in full hibernation mode.
Yeah.
I'm eating like heartier food, heavier food.
Hmm.
I'm probably still drinking a ton of water, but not as much in the summer, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So, like, I think it's okay for our workouts and stuff to kind of have a flow to them.
Hmm.
We don't have to like go to the gym every single day for the rest of our life until we die. Amen. It's like, I took a
Yes.
hip hop dance class last, semester, and it was like great. I was like, okay, this is my cardio for the week. I love this.
Yeah.
And now it's over and I'm like doing more walks and stuff outside because it's summer and gorgeous.
Yep. Hmm.
So I think it's okay to like not have such a rigid focus on fitness.
That's so
When I started
refreshing.
answering that question, I was gonna go with we should all be weightlifting, and you don't actually have to lift as often and as long as you think you do. And it went a totally different direction. So I'm just gonna go with it.
I love that though, because it's so important. I know I recover from a slight bout of like exercising for the wrong reasons. Like I know
Yeah.
a few years back, I was trying to follow those really strict and rigid programs to a T. And
Yep.
then I would force myself to do workouts that I wasn't really vibing with or that my body wasn't feeling for the day. And I would just try to push through. And first of all, it ended up being so miserable. Second, I did end up injured a couple times because I was like
Mhm.
not tuning in. So I love
Yeah.
that you share that message. It's so important to listen to those cues
Yeah.
and pay attention and be mindful of what our bodies are trying to tell us. But I know that takes a little bit of time and practice. It's not one of those things
Yeah.
where as soon as you just think about it, you're like, okay, I need to try to figure out what my body's trying to tell me right now. So I
Mhm.
love that you incorporated that message of like flexibility and
Yeah.
acceptance around,
Yeah.
just letting yourself do what your body feels good for.
Yes. Like, listen, I'm a personal trainer. I'm always going to advocate for movement and exercise, right?
Mm,
But I feel like I have so many people that come into the gym, especially like January, right? Like New Year's resolution time. I feel
yeah.
like I see people that are like, okay, so I'm going to come 5 days a week and I'm going to warm up for 20 minutes on the treadmill and then I'm going to lift weights for an hour and then I'm going to do an hour of cardio and then I'm going to do like 20 more minutes of stretching and then I get a shower. So I need like 4 hours.
I was exhausted just listening to that.
Right. And I'm like, okay, so none of us have 4 hours in our day to go to the gym. You
Mhm.
like, and also it's not good for your body to do that,
Yeah.
like,
Mhm.
and then what happens is people end up quitting. Like in the first 2 weeks, they're like, this is unsustainable. So they just quit
Yeah.
altogether. Whereas like I kind of use a philosophy that I call the BAM, the bare ass minimum. And
I love that.
like here's my philosophy, right? Let's say you come twice a week for half an hour, and in that half hour we do total body weightlifting,
Mhm.
right? You're gonna see results with that. If you've not been doing anything, you're gonna see results with that.
Yeah.
And if you're happy with the results, cool. We're done an hour a week and you're done, right? Of course, I would recommend like going for walks and stuff at home,
Sure.
but I don't really consider walks like strenuous exercise, but it's movement and it's good for you, so you should
Yes.
still do it, right?
Mhm.
But like 2 half hours a week in the gym is probably enough for most people with health goals
Mhm.
that we don't need to be in the gym like 5 hours a week,
Yeah.
you know?
Yep.
If you love it, by all means, come more. We want you here.
Yeah.
Um, and if you have like a really specific goal, like if you're a bodybuilder or an athlete of some sort, like different story. But
Mhm.
for me, I'm like a 40-year-old mom, like I just want to be healthy and like live a long enough, quality enough life that I can see my kid grow up and
Yep.
live his best life,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah,
And I don't want to
absolutely.
spend my whole life in the gym to do that.
So true. Yeah, because then what is that quality of life? Is there quality of
Right.
life around that if you're so preoccupied with making sure that you're getting in those intense workouts and,
Yeah.
preoccupied with how you look and instead of how you feel? And yeah,
Yeah.
I definitely resonate with those messages, even though I don't have a tiny human to watch grow up right now.
Still.
I would still like to take care of myself in case that becomes an option because I am going to be 35 this year. So, that's
Yeah.
always in the back of my head that I'll be considered a geriatric pregnancy, which
Oh,
I
yes.
hate that term. Like,
Same.
come on, healthcare, do better.
Yes. I was 35 when I got pregnant with my son
Yeah.
and 36 when I had him, and everyone lost their minds. Like I was one foot in the grave and the other foot on the banana peel is what it felt like. And like I actually had a doctor tell me, like, you're the kind of woman that dies during childbirth. And I was like,
Oh, oh.
and she was like, well, you're old and fat. And I was like, okay, but like I exercise like 4 days a week and I eat a wide variety of foods and I have like fairly low stress and I sleep 8-ish hours a night.
Mhm.
Like, what's going on here? She's like, you're old and fat.
She
And I
was
was
going
like,
off of BMI probably because our
girl, don't
healthcare.
even get me started on BMI.
Oh, I know. God, that's one of the biggest things that I've been so frustrated with healthcare, amongst other things like insurance and whatnot. But it's
Yes.
just, part of the healthcare message is to do no harm. And I feel like BMI does
Yes.
so much harm sometimes. And I was fangirling over Alana Mar because she just, won her Olympic medals and her page, she's been going off and telling people, like, yes, I'm a BMI of 30. Do you think I'm not
Yes.
healthy? I'm going to the Olympics and you're not. Like, I just
Yes.
loved
I
it.
love it. I
Yeah.
actually like hate the BMI so much. I did like an entire podcast episode like rant. Like,
I
here's
recently
how
did
it
too.
started and here's who they used and guess who they didn't use, like women or
Yep.
anyone of color,
Right.
like,
Oh my gosh. I would love to
oh,
link
I
that
hate the
episode
BMI.
in the show notes. So if you send me that link, I'll drop it in this episode too, because yeah, that just goes along perfectly with everything that we're saying. And something that I wanted to kind of revisit was how you were talking about, these other people in the fitness industry commenting and body shaming you on that post that announced your personal trainer of the year award and thinking that we hope their clients don't see that. And I think that's something I would love to know. If you have any suggestions for, are those people who feel hesitant to go into like a fitness center facility because of that intimidation around feeling like they're going to be judged? So, do you
Mm,
have any like words of encouragement or strategies to help empower yourself or your clients around kind of tackling that monster of intimidation in a gym setting?
yeah. So I have so many clients that like when I ask them if they would write a testimonial for me, they include like, "Oh, you make me feel like the gym is not a scary place anymore." And it shocked me the first couple times I heard that because I'm like, "The gym is a scary place." What? No, it's not. You know, but from the outside looking in, I can see where like, yeah, there's like people sweating and grunting and clanging and banging. Like I completely get how this gym can be a little bit unsettling to be in there if you're not used to that. So,
Right.
couple tips. First, get to know all the workers,
Mm,
right? Like when you walk in, like say hi to the people at the front desk, introduce yourself. Like if it's a decent front desk, they should greet you by name, right? Your
right.
name pops up when you swipe in.
Yeah.
But like maybe ask them what their name is and like introduce yourself because then every time you go, they're gonna be like, "Hey, Tara, good to see you. Welcome back. Have a good workout."
Yeah.
Or like if they're bored, which like let's be real, working in a gym, we're all a little bit bored sometimes.
Sure.
Like so we'll kind of like saunter over like, "Ah, we know your name. Let me go chat with her for a sec and see how you're doing." You want to build this like support
Mm,
community there.
mm-hmm.
And we want to support you too, right? The workers also want the same goal, but
Yeah.
you want it to be so that they notice when you're there and they notice when you're not there and ask about you. So the next time you come back, you're gonna be like, "Hey, where were you?"
Yeah.
You know, there's a lady at my gym who is the chattiest person alive. And she never wears headphones. She just talks to everyone her entire workout. And as a result, her workout takes like 2 to 3 hours because
Oh,
she just
sure. Yeah.
chats the whole time. And a client asked me the other day, he's like, "Tara, where's Courtney been?" And I was like, "I have no idea." Like, yeah, the gym has been quiet. And the point where I like messaged her and I was like, "Girl, where are you?" And she's like, "Oh, I'm in Florida for the summer." And I was like,
Oh, nice.
"Okay." But like, even though that was a very authentic interaction for me as an employee, going like, "Where are you? We miss
Yeah.
you." I'm sure for her, she was like, "Dang, the people at the gym miss me."
Right.
So I think like building a community with employees and other members, right?
Mm,
You go a few times and you kind of see like the same people there. The gym has like say 4,000 members, but only 400 come regularly
yeah.
during the time that you're there, probably. So meeting those people and just doing like the head nod or the head tilt or whatever,
Right.
is going to help kind of build that community. Knowing that you belong there, I
Mm,
think is really important. I just posted a video on my Instagram yesterday about I saw a guy come up to a woman in the weight room and he was like, "Hey, are you on this machine?" And she was like very clearly on the machine.
mm.
And she was like, "Yeah, I have 2 sets left. I'll come get you when I'm done." And I was like, "Yes, girl." Because I feel like frequently I see women in the weight room that go, "Oh, you can have it. Like, you're stronger than me, you're bigger than me, you're more serious than me, you're working harder than me." We put all these like assumptions in our own heads, right?
Right.
So I did a video talking about you belong everywhere you want to be in the gym and you deserve the equipment as much as the next person. Even if you're only lifting 5 pounds and he's lifting 500 pounds, like you still
Hmm.
deserve to use the equipment. We
Mm,
all pay the same membership fees.
yeah.
He can wait his turn, you
Yeah.
know?
And I feel like that
Um,
comes back to women being taught to be polite, right? Like,
yes,
oh,
yes.
putting everyone else's needs above our own. It's like, no, screw that.
Yes.
Like, step into your power. I love that. You
Yes.
belong there. Yes.
Like you matter as a human.
Hmm.
So I think like recognizing we all pay the same fees, we all have the same access to stuff, like have a little bit of self-confidence and remember that you belong there.
Yeah.
You know?
I love that.
I also think like taking advantage, most gyms will do like 2 free sessions with a trainer or something like when you
Oh,
first join,
sure. Hmm.
just to kind of get you like acclimated to the gym. Like do those. Even if you know what you're doing. Like if I joined a different gym and they offered me that, I would do it, even though theoretically I'm the best trainer in the world right now.
Hmm.
Like I would do it just because I want to meet that person. I want to have somebody who's kind of in my corner.
Yeah.
I know when I do evals and consults like that with people, like I kind of keep an eye on them when I see them in the gym. Like, oh, I know they're brand new and they told me they had this health issue with their knee or whatever. Let me just see what they're doing on the leg press over there. you know?
Yeah, absolutely. Because it never hurts to have access to more information, knowledge,
Yes,
resources. Absolutely.
100%.
So that kind of leads into the next thing that I wanted to ask is, when people are considering getting started on a healthy lifestyle journey, I know we've been talking a lot about fitness. We've joked around a little bit about food too, but you also mentioned
Mhm.
some great stuff like stress and sleep. So what would be some of the things that you would encourage people to do to first start engaging in that healthy lifestyle journey?
Yeah, that's a great question. I feel like most people do something that's healthy, right? Maybe we get enough sleep, maybe we're
Mhm.
really well fueled, maybe we drink enough water, like we do something.
Right.
So I want to like recognize that first that like, hey, even if you're eating like, not the healthiest foods on earth and you're never exercising, like maybe you're getting enough sleep.
Mhm.
Maybe your stress levels are really low, right? So like
Yeah.
acknowledge that win and then kind of think about what else you could improve easily. So
Mm.
I always think that water is kind of like an easy one there. A decent guideline is like half your body weight in ounces for
Mhm.
water. Of course, if you're really like in a larger body, it's a lot of water per day.
Yeah.
So when I don't hit half my body weight in ounces, I don't really feel that bad about it because I still got like 100 ounces in that day, which is probably plenty for most people.
Sure.
Right? Um, but like look at the easy things and then I like down my water, like, oh, 30 ounces before work in the morning, train a client, and then like almost pee my pants before my second client. And then I don't really drink much water until I know I've got like lunch break coming up or the end of
Sure.
my day, and then I'll start drinking again. I think we get it in our heads that, like, for water, for example, we have to like do it a little tiny bit all day long when I mean, yeah, that would be great if you have access to a toilet that often, but if you're
Right.
busy and you don't, then like it's okay to like do a lot and then take a break for a minute. I
Yeah.
think with fitness it's really easy too. Like we just start with our BAM method, right? If
Yes.
going to the gym is like scary for you, maybe you just start with like a walk a week.
Hmm.
Take your kid, take your dog, take yourself, and
Yeah.
just walk down. So my neighborhood's right on the Chesapeake Bay. So
Oh,
my
nice.
house is about a block and a half from the water. So like
Oh.
walk down to the water, look for the blue
Hmm.
herons, feed the ducks, and then walk back. Like this doesn't have to be like a horrible experience. And it
Right.
shouldn't be, right?
Yeah.
We want like little small changes so that they're sustainable,
Hmm.
you know?
Mm. Yes. Oh,
We don't
there's
want it to suck.
right, exactly. Yeah, and just like you said, there's not a one size fits all approach. And I
Yeah.
always I always hear clients say, like, well, so and so told me I should try this. And I was like, well, I mean, yeah, maybe you can try it, but don't expect the same outcome because you're a different person. It might not work as well for you. You might not
Yeah.
enjoy it. You might not like it. And so I think you highlighting, even with the water example, it's just about kind of experimenting and seeing what's going to work best for your life and your lifestyle.
Let me
Hmm.
tell you this crazy story about a
Oh, I'm
girl
so
that I know
excited.
now. Like, this is crazy. She's a personal trainer, and I met her at this point in her life. But I asked her, like, hey, so how did you get into fitness? And she was like, dude, so like 10 years ago, I was, out of shape, living in a larger body. I didn't have any energy, this the typical like thing that we
Yeah.
hear a lot, right? And she was like, I knew I had to make a change. So I went and joined this gym that was near my house. And I didn't go for an entire year. I just paid my dues and didn't go, which
Yeah.
unfortunately is like a really common story.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then she had like a little health scare, nothing serious, but like enough that she was like, okay, I gotta
Yeah.
like get this done.
Yeah.
And so for the next like 6 months, she would stop at the gym on her way home from work and she would turn off her car, but she was so intimidated to go in that she wouldn't even get out of the car. So she like set a timer. She's like, I'm gonna sit here for 10 minutes. I'll like play on my phone, and just whatever. And then when my timer goes off, I'll drive home. And I thought, like, that's crazy. You could have done that for free.
Yeah.
You don't have to pay the gym to sit in their parking lot for 10 minutes a
Right.
day.
Yep.
Um, and then she was like really comfy with that. She's like, okay, I'm gonna go in and just like check it out. And so the first day she went, one of the front desk guys was like really friendly, asked her name, introduced himself, and like shared, just chatted a little bit.
Yeah.
And she was like, okay. And then she's like, I think I'm going to go. And he was like, all right. And she left. And so that became her routine for months,
Yeah.
months longer. She would go in, say, hey, chat with the front desk people, and then leave. And then one day, one of them said, we got like a jacuzzi here, right? And she was like, a
Hey.
what? Tell me more.
Yes.
So then she started like going and she would get in the jacuzzi and eventually it branched out to like sauna, then jacuzzi, you
Yeah.
know. And then she was like, you know what? Before I jacuzzi, I probably should like maybe try riding the bike or doing the treadmill. So for like another 6 months. So this is like 2.5 years into her journey at this point.
Yeah.
She would like do her cardio and then get in the hot tub, you know?
Yeah.
And then at that point, she had met enough other people at the gym that one of the trainers was like, you should like lift weights every now and then. And she said, well, I don't know what I'm doing. And she said, well, come here, I'll show you. And so she showed her like a few exercises, like
Yeah.
on the machines, nothing complicated, nothing
Yeah.
crazy. She wasn't like Olympic weightlifting. Um,
Right.
and so she just kind of like got into that. And that's where her love for exercise was awakened because
Mm,
like weightlifting feels good, right?
yes.
You lift heavy weights and you're like, damn, I am a badass. And then
Yes.
you like leave the gym like all puffed up. Like, I can't have a bad day now. I just like PR'd on my deadlift, you know?
Hell yeah.
So from there, like that's when she was like, dang, it'd be kind of cool to like work here. And then she became a trainer. Like she
Oh my
studied, she
gosh.
mentored herself like under this other trainer.
Yeah.
And it took like from start to finish, like 5 years. But she did it.
Yeah. And that just shows that it doesn't have to be fast. It doesn't have to happen overnight. It usually won't
Mhm.
ever happen overnight. And I'm just fascinated because, like, putting my mental health hat on, like, she was literally taking herself through the process of exposure therapy. Like, she was showing
Yes.
up at the place that scared her, and she was just like acclimating herself to just sitting outside in the parking lot and then taking the next step and going. So that was a fascinating story to listen to. I would love to know like what her previous experience was in like a fitness center leading up to
Yeah.
her kind of
Oh, I
taking
have
those
no idea,
steps.
but
Oh
that's
man.
like intrigued me.
Oh yeah. No, I was sitting here the whole time. I'm like, ooh, where is this coming from? Like, I wonder
Yeah,
what past
she totally
experience that
just took
was.
herself through the steps and now like works as a trainer,
That's so
which is
cool. Oh,
crazy.
I love that though, because I'm sure that there's some people listening that will probably resonate with a lot of parts of that story. And so hearing that kind of success and just allowing yourself the grace to be a little intimidated, to kind of lean into those feelings for a little bit, but to not let them keep you stuck there. Like you're able to move past it. You're able to move
Yeah.
through it and move with it and do some of the scary stuff too. So
Yes.
hopefully that encourages some of y'all listening. And if you have additional questions, you can reach out to us because we would love to cheer you on the way.
Hell yeah, we would. I was kind of
Awesome.
like that when I started my career as a trainer. Like, it's difficult for me to like go just talk to random people at the gym. Like, I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
like, oh, I don't want to intrude. I don't want to like hinder their workout.
Hmm.
I'm introverted myself, even though this conversation probably doesn't seem like it. Like, yes, I'm definitely introverted and even a little bit shy.
I'm the
So
same
I would
way.
be like, okay, you have to go talk to three people. It doesn't matter how long of a conversation it is, but go talk to three people and then you can go sit in the bathroom for a sec just to
Decompress. Yeah.
decompress from it.
Hmm.
And like that served me well over the years. Like it kind of was like something I had to suck it up and do it.
Yeah.
And now that's easy for me.
I love that as a strategy to just start guiding people to even just start with one, just like smile and say hi to one person in the gym. I am going to selfishly plug like group fitness here because I've
Mm.
found that was a really great way to kind of ease myself in was
Yep.
starting at the back of the room because there's so many people in the same room. The chances that they're watching you are a lot less than if you're out on
Yeah.
the fitness floor, being the only person on a certain machine. So yeah, I definitely experienced that on a personal level where I like started at the back row. I was like, oh my God, nobody watched me. And then I became that front row diva. And then I'm like,
Yes.
hand me the mic. I want to lead this. Let's have some fun.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, well,
And like with training too, like your personal trainer is paid to care about you,
mhm,
right? The good ones, we care about you anyway.
right. Yes.
But like if there's anyone who wants you to be really comfy and do well in the gym, it's your trainer or your coach.
Mhm.
So if you're feeling like a little intimidated about going to the gym or trying a new area of the
Yeah.
gym I work out is like super bright and open, and then the weight room, like the walls kind of narrow a little bit, and then it opens up into like the dungeon of the weight room where there's
Ooh.
no windows, the walls are painted like dark blue,
Uh-huh.
like the dude bros are back there scary, like there's a lot of weight
Grunting. Yeah.
dropping and the grunting and whatever.
Yep.
So like even if there's a part of the gym that you're not comfortable in, like it might be worth talking to a trainer for a session or two, like, hey, take me back there and kind of give me the lay of the land.
Right.
Show me what these machines are, give me a few exercises I can do back here,
Yeah.
and then like I can just incorporate that in on my own later.
Yeah.
So
That's such a
even that
great
would
point.
be helpful.
Definitely. Oh, that's awesome. And Tara, as we're kind of starting to wrap up this episode, one of the things that I've been asking all of our guests is, what does healthy living doesn't have to suck mean to you? And how do you kind of bring it into your life and work?
Yeah, so if something sucks, I don't do it.
Yeah.
Like pretty much, right? There's a few things that I will suck it up, right? Like talking to the people I don't want to talk to, right?
Right.
But like I very much believe that fitness and healthy living, that creepy saying there's more than one way to skin a cat?
Yeah.
Okay, first of all, weird and gross,
So
and why are we
weird.
skinning cats? Like,
I know.
ugh. But fitness is the same way. Like, if you hate lifting weights, like, don't do it, man. Go do like bands or body weight resistance training or
Yeah.
isometrics or maybe like water aerobics. Like, there is
Yes.
always another option. It may not be the fastest option. Like, in my world, like, weightlifting is going to get you the results the most efficiently.
Hmm.
Um, but if you just like hate it, find something else.
Yeah.
Same thing with like food. I kind of follow an intuitive eating approach. Here in Maryland, it's not even legal for personal trainers to like give nutrition counseling to our
Mm.
clients.
Hmm.
So I really like stay out of that lane. But personally, I follow an intuitive eating approach. And one of my co-hosts on my podcast is an intuitive eating dietitian.
Nice.
So like, if you hate broccoli, like don't eat it. Choose a different veggie, you
Yes.
know? Like look for things that are gonna be comparable but more palatable for you.
Hmm.
Some things I just feel like we can't really get away from. For example, like if you're really busy and stressed, like
Mm.
your job is really stressful. Like I know that we can't just like quit our job. Like, well, this job sucks. It's stressful.
Right.
But like for the most part, like healthy living doesn't have to suck. To me, that's just like find the better option.
Mm.
I'll give you an example. In my life, traveling is like a huge priority. Like
Yeah.
that is my only hobby aside from reading. I love reading. But like I love doing it. And then the pandemic hit and we had a baby, and I haven't really traveled in like 4 years.
Yeah.
At least not to anywhere that's like super cool.
Right.
So it feels a little bit like my soul is just slowly wilting because I'm not doing this thing that like invigorates me so much.
Hmm.
Um, and recently my husband and we live outside of Washington, D.C. We're in Annapolis.
Okay.
So like 45 minutes, and everything in DC is free. Like all the museums and
I
things
have
like
heard
that.
that actually. Yeah.
It's all free. We all pay for it with our taxes. So you just like walk right in. And a few weeks ago, we like randomly took off like work on a random like Friday, and we're like, let's go to the botanical gardens of all
Oh,
places. They had a corpse flower blooming that only blooms like once a decade or something.
oh,
And it
wow.
smells like rotting meat. So my husband was like really into it.
Okay.
And
Hence the
so we
name.
like
Okay. Corpse flower. Got it.
yeah, right. Totally weird. And the flowers like the size of this room I'm sitting in. It's
Oh,
huge.
geez. Okay.
Yes, it is
I'm
massive.
gonna have to Google
Um,
this. That's interesting.
Follow the National Botanical Gardens on Instagram. You'll see it all the time.
Okay.
And so we like snuck out of work. We took the day off, went down there, got lunch, explored the botanical gardens, walked over to some other museum that was actually really boring. And then we came home. But to me, that activity fulfilled my sense of like
Mhm.
adventure and exploration. So
Yeah.
it was kind of a mindset shift for me that like I don't have to travel to be satisfied. I can just be exploring my own local area,
Mhm.
but I just have to venture out and do it, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I think that adaptability piece is huge, and
Yeah.
especially for people who maybe, experiencing an injury and they can't do the things that they once were able to do, and having to kind of work
Yep.
through that process to figure out the new thing that's going to work that they are able to do with where they're at the moment. So I
Mhm.
appreciate you sharing, your personal experience with that, because I think a lot of people struggle to give themselves that grace and to
Mhm.
have the patience to figure out like what's the better option, like you were saying.
Yeah.
Mhm. Oh my gosh. Well, thank you so much for sharing your time and your awesome energy and knowledge with us today. This is such a great conversation that I know our listeners are going to get so much value from. So if they are interested in following you and learning more about you and the work that you do, where are some of the best places for them to connect with you?
So I'm like most active on Instagram.
Okay.
So my Instagram handle is my name with underscores in between each word. So
Okay.
Tara
I'll have it linked in the
underscore
show notes too.
DeLeon Fitness. It's a terrible LinkedIn handle or Instagram handle. Like once I started thinking about how to say that out loud, it's like, ugh, I should have chose something shorter. But Tara DeLeon Fitness on Instagram. I'm most active there.
Awesome.
And I'm also really like I want to help people. So if you even just have a question, like knowing full well, like, hey, I'm not gonna go to Tara for training. By the way, I do coach people all over the world
Oh,
through like
awesome.
virtual training.
Yes.
But
Okay.
like even if that's not you and you're just like, hey, I have a quick question about something health and fitness or something that you said on the podcast, like message me on Instagram. I'm so happy to like have those combos, you know.
That's
You can
awesome.
also follow my podcast. It's called Wellness Rebranded. And basically, it's me, an intuitive eating dietitian, and a mental health therapist, kind of like tackle diet culture and, rebrand what's actual wellness. Is it the fad diets, fat loss, and the hustle culture? Or is it like, moderation and, taking things in stride and rolling with the punches and moving when you can and eating intuitively,
Yeah.
right? Like we
Yeah.
talk about all things health, fitness, and mental wellness.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've already subscribed because I was like, I love everything about this podcast already after
Thank you.
learning about you and the other hosts. But that's awesome. I'll make sure that all of that is linked in the show notes for our listeners today. And Tara, just thank you so much. I know that we could probably go on, for hours and hours just talking about all things fitness and wellness, but we'll maybe have to have a part two conversation someday.
You let me know, girl. I'm here.
Awesome. All right, change makers. Well, until next time, keep it real, keep your head up, and keep kicking ass with your goals. We'll catch you next time. Hey there, change makers. As a bonus, if you've been wanting to make healthier choices but don't feel like you have the time or even know where to start, make sure you check out my Lifestyle Medicine Mini Makeover. It's a free 7-day email series designed to help you take small, powerful steps toward better health that can fit into your busy lifestyle. Each day, you'll get an email that educates you on one of the lifestyle medicine pillars, along with a simple mini challenge to put what you learned into action. If you're ready to level up your health with lifestyle medicine, then sign up now at healthylivingdoesn'thavetosuck.com/makeover and let's do this together. By the end of this week-long challenge, you will have success in showing yourself that healthy living doesn't have to suck. As a quick, friendly reminder, the information in these podcasts are always strictly for educational purposes only. As always, thanks so much for listening, Changemakers. And if you can please remember to head to your favorite podcast platform and subscribe, rate, and review. It will help this podcast reach other change makers so they can start listening and tuning in each week.